Think about the last time you had an idea in a meeting, and before you shared it, you said, I don't know if this makes sense, but that sentence sounds like humility. But it's actually one of the quietest ways to undermine your professional credibility. And chances are, you said it sometime this week. There are people with strong results who spend years being underestimated. Not because their work isn't good enough, but because certain phrases they repeat automatically communicate the exact opposite of what they mean. Today, we're going to look at what those phrases are, what they're really communicating without you realizing it, and what to say instead. Long before your results speak for themselves, before any project you've delivered, the way you speak has already shaped how people see your confidence and competence. And that perception is built through tiny words and phrases that almost nobody recognizes as the real problem. Here are 5 of them. Phrase 1. Asking for permission before saying what you came to say. The first one is asking for permission before saying what you came to say. Sorry to interrupt. Sorry to bother you. I just wanted to mention something really quick. Think about what those words communicate before you even get to your point. The person listening immediately assumes you're not sure you've earned the space you're taking up. That impression lands before your idea ever does. Even if what you say next is solid, people are already hearing it through the filter of that first impression. This habit doesn't come out of nowhere. In most cases, it develops in environments where asking for permission before speaking is seen as respectful or simply the right way to take up space. What worked in a social setting becomes a signal of insecurity in a professional one, where presence and confidence carry a different kind of weight. The problem isn't that the habit was wrong. The problem is that the context changed, and the habit didn't. Instead, get straight to the point. If the meeting is already underway and you have something to add, say, I'd like to add something to what was just said, or simply make your point with a steady voice and no preamble. People don't give you space because you ask for permission. You earn it by speaking like someone who knows they have something worth saying. Phrase 2, I don't know if this makes sense, but... The second phrase, and the most damaging of the 5, is any version of, I don't know if this makes sense, but... Or maybe, I could be wrong, but... Or, this is just an idea. I'm not sure it's a good one. They all do the same thing. Think about what you're doing when you say that. You have an idea, and before you present it, you undermine it. Not because you think it's wrong. Because you're afraid the person listening might reject it. So you beat them to it? You reject it first. Out loud. In front of everyone. That sends 2 messages at the same time. First, that you don't trust your own thinking. Second, that you're looking for approval before taking up space. Neither is the message you want to send in a professional environment. Instead, present the idea first and invite discussion afterward. So, I have a proposal for improving our approval process. I'd like to hear any concerns or questions. That structure presents first and invites discussion second. Your idea reaches the table without asking permission to be there. Phrase 3. I could be wrong, but... The third phrase is defensive anticipation. I could be wrong, but... I don't have all the information, but... You may already know this, but... The difference between this phrase and the last one matters. When you say, I don't know if this makes sense, you're doubting the idea. When you say, I could be wrong, you're doubting yourself. Not your argument, your ability to be right. They're 2 different kinds of insecurity, but they communicate the same thing to the person listening. You've already expressed doubts about what you're about to say. And what creates this habit isn't a lack of knowledge. It's the fear of looking like you don't have it. Pointing that out before anyone else can creates exactly the impression you're trying to avoid. Instead, say, this is my assessment. If there's something I'm overlooking, I'd like to hear it. Your position comes first. Your openness comes second. That difference in order is the difference between someone with sound judgment and someone who's looking for validation before they speak. Phrase 4. I'll try. The fourth phrase is the shortest one, but it's also one of the most expensive. I'll try. The human brain hears the word try as an escape hatch. It's a signal that the speaker is already preparing for the possibility of not following through. The listener hears, this person isn't committing. They're leaving themselves an out. In an environment where trust is built through consistency between what people say, and what they deliver, that single word carries a cumulative cost. Imagine two people responding to the same request. I need the market analysis by Thursday. The first person says, I'll try to have it ready by then. The second says, I'll have it to you by Thursday. Both have exactly the same workload. But the person leaving that conversation now has two completely different impressions of who's going to deliver and who's likely to show up on Wednesday with an explanation. The word you chose in 3 seconds shapes how people see you for the next 2 weeks. Instead, say, I'll have it to you Friday. I'll talk with the team this week. If there's a factor that could realistically affect the deadline, say it directly. I'll have it to you Friday, unless the client changes the scope. That's precision, not avoidance. And it sounds completely different from trying. Phrase 5. Actually, when you're correcting someone. The fifth phrase is actually when you're correcting someone. Actually, the number is, actually, that's not what happened. Actually, that's not exactly right. The problem isn't correcting someone. It's the word that introduces the correction. Actually suggests that what the other person said wasn't really true or wasn't accurate. It carries an unspoken sense of superiority, even if your tone is completely neutral. And it creates resistance in the listener, even when your correction is completely valid. The other person starts defending their original position, not because they're right, but because they feel dismissed. Instead, say, the updated number is, our records show something different. Or simply provide the correct information. According to the third quarter data, the percentage would be, that version corrects without creating confrontation. It gets you to the same result without creating unnecessary friction. The first thing you'll notice when you start changing these phrases is that it feels uncomfortable. Getting straight to the point without a preamble feels more aggressive than it really is. People who break this habit almost always feel like they're being too blunt, when in reality, they're just being clear. That discomfort is a sign the habit is changing. You're caught between the habit you're leaving behind and the new one that hasn't become automatic yet. These 5 phrases show up most often in 3 situations. When you're talking to someone above you in the organization, when you're presenting results or proposals in meetings with more than 4 people, and when you're correcting or disagreeing with someone in front of others. If you start paying attention to your own language, those are the moments when autopilot takes over, not casual lunches, not one-on-one conversations with coworkers at your level. The moments with pressure, the moments with visibility. That's where the habit is hardest to break, and where changing it makes the biggest difference. This week, pick just one of these 5 phrases, the one you recognize most in yourself. Every time you feel the urge to say it, pause for 2 seconds before you speak. Not to rehearse a speech, just to choose the right order. The idea first, the doubt afterward, if it's even necessary. The space first, the apology never. Don't try to change all 5 at once. Change one until it no longer takes effort. Then move on to the next. The language that gives away authority wasn't built overnight. The language that builds authority won't be either. The person we met at the beginning of this video, the one who said, I don't know if this makes sense, before sharing their idea, didn't do it because they lacked a strong argument. They did it because of a habit no one ever pointed out. A habit that cost them credibility every single time they repeated it. Professional authority is built slowly and erodes quickly. It doesn't take one major mistake. It takes an accumulation of small phrases that keep sending the same message. You don't trust what you're about to say. When you change your language, you change how people see you. And that perception determines how you're viewed, what opportunities come your way, and the role you end up playing in the conversations that matter most. There's another moment when your language shapes your professional image, and almost nobody works on it consciously. We'll cover that in the next video.